Hey, before we start, I just quickly want to say that we recently hit 200 subscribers, and yeah, that's not a lot, but I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been watching. I've been going through a few things lately, and it's been pretty hard to keep up with this whole thing. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who's stuck with it. I'm glad I've made some positive impacts in your life. Thank you. Five Nights at Freddy's, or as I like to call it, baby's first horror movie. Seriously, there were 5-year-olds in my theater. And while I don't think it's necessarily 5-year-old worthy, this movie is pretty light in the scary department. I'd say I've seen scarier PG movies, but I'm getting ahead of myself. How did I enjoy this movie? Well, I'm glad I saw it. I just wish I didn't pay $20 to see it. I have Peacock, and honestly, I could have gotten by on it. It was a fun enough time. I guess it's comparable to the Mario movie, where the movie is less concerned with being the blow your socks off movie of the year and more concerned with just being a love letter to the franchise. And as such, it's fun. There are so many Easter eggs and environments all great, and of course, the animatronics themselves look amazing. In action, they look authentic to the original design, they move like old animatronics, and I think there's a slight tweak for the better. I'm not sure what it is, but these iterations seem right on the bridge of creepy and fun. Like, there's a scene where animatronics are being all playful with one of the characters, and it's believable that a kid would see these as fun robots, not my 12-year-old nightmare fuel. And fans are going to have a blast with the Easter egg hunts. Yes, there is that cameo, and surprisingly, no, not that cameo, because he's making a what movie? The movie's very self-aware, dropping smaller references at every turn, just like the Mario movie. But if we just cared about cameos, Chip and Dale would probably be the greatest movie of all time, so to the unsuspecting parent, how is the movie? It's fine. It's not awful like Uncharted. In fact, I'd say this is better than Silver Eyes trilogy. That's actually a major point I can give the movie. I was terrified going in that this movie was going to tie into the greater FNAF timeline or confirm some recent theory or, worst of all, just be Silver Eyes. But thankfully, that wasn't the case for most part. Yeah, this movie seems to confirm one of my least favorite theories about Security Breach. But other than that, the movie works as a standalone story, and anyone who has no clue what they're getting into isn't going to be hideously confused. I can only imagine somebody seeing this movie thinking, oh, that wasn't so bad, why do people say this lore is so complicated, and then just get lost in the oodles of theory videos. But yeah, the story is incredibly simple. It just revolves around Mike Schmidt and his sister Abby. Mike is desperate to find a job so that his dingus aunt won't take custody of his sister. So he's led to apply for a job at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, working the night security. What could go wrong? I actually really like Mike here. He's a traumatized guy just trying to pull his life together for his sister, and he really tries. I love the trope of a single father figure just trying to pull everything together in his life for his kids, despite everybody around him tearing him down, and Mike exemplifies that perfectly. That really goes for all the characters. The only ones who are unlikable, well, this is a horror movie, so, you know. And, like I said, as a horror movie, it checks all the boxes. There are a handful of scares and some parts that surprise me on a technical level, but if you've seen Coraline, you've seen worse. It's really more a movie of spectacle than creep factor. The scariest scene in the movie was probably one where there was no jump scares or knives or anything. You just don't know what's happening, and it's great. But most of the deaths in this movie are very PG-13, and again, they were all unlikable, so you don't really feel for them. There was one character I felt was just poorly written, but I'm not going to say who because I just wrote it out in the script and it just sounded like I was whining, so I cut that part out. Abby is fun enough. She doesn't really have too much of a character outside of liking to draw in paranormal communication. Yeah, so there's no remnant explanation or anything for the animatronics, but by the end I kind of wish there was. I say this because the climax is resolved in a way that makes it seem like there should be some science or at least a ritual type deal behind it, but no, they kind of just figure it out. Oh, speaking of the climax, if you followed this movie and saw that Shaggy is Willie and Afton, congratulations, you probably aren't going to be surprised by any twist in this movie. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but if you know what the base necessities of this franchise, you aren't going to be surprised by anything. But the movie plays these twists completely straight. Okay, they take a page from the Silver Eyes with how they handle William, but it just doesn't work here. I'm not going to go into spoilers because I just don't think this movie's plot is worth it. There's a lot of fluff here though. Nothing completely unnecessary. but it does feel like way too much build up towards the better parts. It's funny, we get the most bare bones plot from a franchise with notoriously convoluted lore. But that does bring up something I feel as a FNAF fan. I feel they couldn't pick a lane between pre-established lore and telling their own story. There was enough stuff in the movie to make you think, oh, hey, it's that character. And I felt like they dipped their toes into the IP, but I still kind of wanted a bit more brought to the scene. Other characters, like, you know, the puppet, or my boy Mr. Hippo. I felt kind of the same way about this first Sonic movie, where it felt like they were dipping their toes into the bringing in Sonic to live action, and then only really felt like a Sonic movie in the sequel. Here, it feels like they're just trying things out with the four main animatronics, Springtrap and such, but I feel like there could have been a bit more. There's no mention of Charlie, Henry, or any of the Afton kids. Wait. And while I was glad the twist I thought was going to happen didn't, I felt like this movie needed a bit more Cawthon flair. Or, hot take, this movie could have functioned had it moved away from everything in the main lore of the series. I know everybody wants to scream, he said the thing when MatPat is on screen, but I don't know, I feel like this could have worked as a movie with basically no story to base itself on. I guess something like the Fazbear Frights books back when they had no real connection to the games. And, man, I'm really torn on this movie, aren't I? I guess in conclusion, I liked it, but I wish it were better. This movie does a lot of things right, and works as a FNAF project. It doesn't do a complete scat on the original work similar to other movies based on video games. And I loved it as a FNAF fan, but as a movie enjoyer, it's alright. I give it a letter grade of B-. For comparison, the Mario movie got a B+ for me, and Ruby Gilman got a C. I'll rank all the movies I saw this year at the end of it, and at the moment this movie is going to the bottom half, but if I saw all the movies everyone tells me were awful, it'd probably make it to the top half. But in the end, good job FNAF. You aren't one of the worst video game adaptations, and for being in development for over 8 years, you could have come out much, much worse. Well, that was certainly a review of the FNAF movie. But let me know what you think. I may be completely in the minority in my thoughts here. And yeah, that's all for me. My name is AJ Plays, and oh yeah, the creator. I saw that. I wanted to make a review on it, but I felt like by the time I got this review up, it would have been too late. But let me sum up. The Creator is an easy S-tier movie, bogged down by abysmal writing. The world, action, and emotion are all fantastic, but the plot and script felt like they could have been given a few more proofreads. And there were a ton of plot holes, rapid character development, and all around didn't make sense at times. It wasn't to the point of Avatar 2 where literally everything is pointless, but it felt like the story and dialogue just need a few adjustments to make it truly exceptional. So, as much as I loved everything in it, this movie itself is getting an A- from me. Okay, now we're done here. Oh yeah, MGS. That video is taking a little bit longer. It's probably going to have to come out in earlier November, unless I can really, really crunch out these next few days. But yeah, that's it for me. Hey guys, the thing's not coming down.